Hi everyone, I have a new video. I don't know why I say that all the time. I have another video, something I created that because I've really been in, the Thanksgiving spirit now that we are in November. I'm not quite ready for Christmas because we need to give thanks. And so I have a recipe that I'm going to make, and it's turkey pot pie with homemade noodles soup. And my grandma used to make homemade noodles, and my mama used to. So I tried to tweak the recipe enough to make it Weight Watcher WW friendly. And so I'm going to get started in a minute. Let me tell you what I'm going to put in it. Right now, because I haven't made a turkey, I'm going to use the 99% lean turkey breast ground. And so I've got 4 ounces of that. And there's going to be chicken broth, poultry seasoning. I'm going to do a half of an onion because this is a big onion. Some little salt and pepper, a little bit of ranch packet dressing. And then some peas and carrots. And to thicken it, I'm going to use some instant mashed potatoes because they're low in points and they thicken really good. It's a really good trick on thickening up your soups. So I'm going to get ready. Now I'm going to be putting the turkey I'm going to make this in my Instant Pot, and I know I do a lot with it, but this one here, I'm actually going to do it as more of a crock pot, Instant Pot. So I'm going to take the turkey, and I've got it set here on saute. I'm going to saute the turkey with some poultry seasoning to get it browned. That's what's so cool about this. You do everything in this one pot. Then I'm going to add the other ingredients. So I just thought I'd give you a little heads up so you can follow along. And here we go. Okay, my ground turkey is just about done, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to add the half of that onion, which is probably about a cup of onion. I'm not quite sure, but quite a bit. Add that right to it. I'm going to let this saute together a little bit, and then I'll be back. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and add the spices to it also. So let me mix this around. I just don't want to have this on the whole time so you can hear me really good. But I want to get those onions sauteed in there. And so let's just go ahead and add the poultry seasoning. List aside here, this is 1 tablespoon. Set that aside. And then I'm going to add not quite a teaspoon of pepper, about 3/4. We like a lot of pepper, so you may only want like a half a teaspoon. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. We're going to let this all cook down together, and then I will be right back and go with the next step. Okay, it's all cooking down. I'm just going to do this real quick because I know it's making some noise, but I'm going to add 3 cups of the chicken broth. It takes almost this whole package here of, it says 32 ounces. So there's a little bit left. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pour it in here because there's not enough to save. It's like a half a cup left. So I will adjust my recipe, but it's not going to change the points at all. So we've got all of our chicken breath in there. I'm going to let this kind of all cook together. And then I'm going to, next I'm going to go ahead and add a packet of ranch dressing for some extra flavor in here. I'm going to put that in there. Mix that around. And then the next step I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, let me let this cook for a few minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, everything's been cooking down. One other thing I forgot is I added 1.5 cups of water. So I will have that in the recipe. Right now I'm going to add 1 package of mixed vegetables, and it's got your corn, peas, carrots, green beans in it. So many times I just do peas and carrots and then I add corn, but I had this in the freezer, so I thought, oh, this is perfect. It's got everything in it for like a pot pie soup. So that's going to cook. I'm going to let this cook down. I've got this on simmer. I mean, not simmer, but saute in my Instant Pot, which is like cooking on top of the stove. So I'm going to let this cook down, and then as soon as it gets nice and hot and bubbly, then I'm going to add a half a cup of instant mashed potatoes to it, and that will help thicken it. Right now it smells like Thanksgiving in here with all the spices coming together. While this is cooking, I'm going to set this aside. I am going to start the homemade old-fashioned noodles because they will need to dry out for like 2 hours, and so I'm going to start that now. Then this will be cooking in a crock pot while those are drying, and it'll all come together, and it's going to be so good. Okay, now I'm going to start the old-fashioned egg noodles. Really helpful if you have a food processor. If not, it's really going to get tiring if you did it by hand, or if you have, I have a KitchenAid big mixer too, but it's a lot of trouble getting that thing out all the time. This is so much easier, and it does so many things that I use this more than anything I think now. Anyway, so we're going to start with 1 cup of flour. This is just the regular flour, and it's not the self-rising, it's just the regular kind. And it says it's already already sifted, but it's okay. You're going to add all your dry ingredients. So we got the 1 cup of flour. Now we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to add a half a teaspoon of baking powder. So that's all going to go in there. And checking my recipe that when I made this to make sure I didn't put a half. Yes, I did. And so now we're just going to, you can mix this around with a spoon if you want, but I'm just going to pulse it just real fast just to mix the ingredients. That's all. And so I've got a pastry blade on there. Should make it pretty easy. Now we're going to add the wet ingredients, which is 2 eggs and a couple tablespoons of milk. And you can just use regular milk because it's not that much in here. It's only 1 point. You could use almond milk, but when I put it into the recipe builder to create it, it didn't change the points whether I used almond milk or regular milk. So I'm going to use regular milk. So just thought I'd give you that little hint. And so I'm going to do 1 egg here, and then you're going to do 2 full eggs. And then you're going to add a couple tablespoons of milk. And then we'll see, this should form into a sticky dough ball. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on it, and I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'll let you see how it turned out so you don't have to listen to all the clatter. Here it goes. Okay, I've got everything ready now to roll out the dough to make the egg noodles. But I was checking the soup, and I forgot in my recipe I did add 1 can of cream of chicken condensed 98% fat-free soup. It makes it a little more creamier. I was going to try it without it just to save a point, but it's not worth it to save a point. So instead of it, the soup would normally be 1 point per serving. Is going to be 2 points because it kind of puts it over edge just a little bit. It's worth 2 points by adding this can of soup with it. It makes the flavor so much better and makes it creamier. So that's been cooking together. Now I'm going to add a half a cup of just instant mashed potatoes. You want to make sure this is boiling when you go to add this. And just stir it in real slowly. I couldn't decide if I was going to do a half a cup or a quarter of a cup because we don't want it too thick because we're going to have noodles in it. And I use instant mashed potatoes for a lot of my recipes to thicken if there's soups or stuff like that. And it is thickening it up, so it gives it a really good flavor. And so I think I'm only going to do a quarter of a cup because we're going to be putting noodles and I don't want this too thick. So it's going to be a quarter of a cup of instant mashed potatoes. Like I say, the recipe that will be posted at the end of this video, when you go to click the little arrow down under the video description, I have my recipes. I will have it adjusted that shows it's a quarter of a cup of the instant mashed potatoes. This is all boiling now, so I'm going to turn this off on my Instant Pot. And one of the good things about an Instant Pot is I'm going to put the lid on, I'm going to turn it over to manual for a crock pot. How you can use it as a crock pot. You just put it with no pressure, and I'm going to let it cook while I'm making this and while these are drying out. And while they're drying out, I'm going to go to the store and do some things I need to do. So it's a recipe that takes a little bit of time, but it's really good. Here we go. So now I'm going to get started on the old-fashioned noodles. I put all the ingredients, as you could see earlier, into my food processor. Make for sure you coat a board, or I love these pastry silicone boards. I got this one from Amazon. It's huge. I'll put the link on there in case you want it. I always like it when people share their little gadgets and their ideas. That helps things, you know, to cook better, and it's so nice. Anyway, same with this food processor. Okay, so I'm going to scoop this out onto the board, and it's going to be real sticky, which is good. And you can double this recipe if you want more noodles, but since it's a soup, then we don't need a whole bunch, just a little bit. Now the trick also, again, is the flour. Keep that floured. Keep your fingers floured, and start making a little ball. Roll it around in the dough. In the flour. Roll the dough in the flour, and then you want to start. It says to take 2 balls and to make them into a rectangular. This is a small recipe, so I'm not for sure if 2 balls will make it into a rectangular. I think I'm just going to do with the one big piece. So I'm going to put this all together, and I'm going to roll it out, and then I'm going to be right back and show you how we cut them. Okay, I just rolled out my dough, did a little fast forward thing. We'll see if it turned out. I'll include it. You'll know if it did or not to show you how I did it. But anyway, you just keep rolling it with, you know, a little bit of flour. You turn it over, keep turning it. You want to get this real thin, and the trick to doing this is just keeping your hands floured, keeping the flour back on here. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a pizza cutter. Careful flouring it though, I'm just noticing. Okay, and I'm going to cut this in strips. And so I'm going to just go like this. Oh, this brings back memories, so much memories. My mama used to have these. She'd make a great big one and have them on the countertop, and she'd have them drying on a, you know, an old, not old, but just like a white cheesecloth type of kitchen towel. And they would be drying out, and we would walk by and we'd grab a piece or two and run off with it, because we loved to eat them even when they were dough. So as you can see, I'm just cutting these long strips, and I think I'll fast forward through this, and then I'll show you after I cut them the other way. Okay, I finished rolling it out. They're all different sizes. That's what's so cool about it. You know they're homemade when they're not uniquely all the same. And so then you're just going to want to take them. After I cut them this way, then I cut it down the middle. And I want long noodles. You can make them shorter if you want. Then the trick is you want to do is just pull them apart and just stick them here on the flour mat so they can dry out in the flour for like 2 hours. You don't have to do this, they said. You can just cook them regular, but they don't turn out as good. And since this is the way my mama always made them, and they were so good, I'm going to stick to the old-fashioned recipe of letting them dry out for a couple hours. Then I will put them in with the hot turkey noodles, turkey potluck soup I'm making, and we'll add it to that, and it only has to cook in like 8 to 10 minutes. And then we're going to have the yummiest dinner and give thanks for everything that we have. I just wanted to take a moment here while I'm doing this, because I been in an attitude of thanksgiving and gratitude for so many things, and not just because it's this time of year, which I think it is important that we focus on what, you know, it's all about. But there's so many things in life. You know, this world is so crazy. People are so nuts right now that I just try to cling to what is good. You know, in the scripture it says, you know, whatever is of good report, whatever is lovely, whatever is pure, think on these things. So I try to focus on these things and make my life better. I have a lot to be thankful for. 10 years ago, I was going through chemo at this time because I was diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. And it was terrible. You know, it was a miracle I'm alive. So many people prayed. So every year I have so much to be thankful for. Same time my son that was 19 was going through brain surgery for a brain tumor he had. Neither one of us knew if we were going to make it or how it was going to turn out. Both of us are doing great. My son has a family with the 3 little kids that I show sometimes, and just so much to be thankful for. And I'm sure, you know, as time goes on, it's been 10 years, I never forget. I never forget. Every day is a blessing. Every day I want to do more to be for my family, for others. And so I do these videos because I've lost 80 pounds, so I have the best health that I've had in so many years. But I like to do these videos to help other people. I want to be a blessing. And if it helps you, then please subscribe to my channel. I don't make anything out of this. I just love doing this. It keeps me accountable too. And I love creating all these. This is my new retirement hobby. And so I'm gonna let these dry out, and then I'll be back and I'll put them in with the hot soup that's cooking, and we'll finish it all up. And I got flour all over me, so I need to clean up before I go shopping. Okay, I heard my Instant Pot was hissing, and I'm like, why is it hissing? I've got it on no pressure. I forgot I set it on manual. Actually, if you want to use it as a crock pot, they have a setting right here called slow cook. You push that one, and then it comes up like 1.5 hours. Then you can adjust it up or down if you want. I'm only going to do this for 1 hour, so I'm going to lower it. And it didn't do it fast enough, so it was clicking on. I'm going to go ahead and lower it to just 1 hour. And now it's going to start up, and it's going to do slow cook for 1 hour, and then it will stay warm. If you don't want to use a crock pot, you can just mix all of this up. It's going to be while it's setting. You can just mix all this up on the stove and just cook it to a boil, and then just simmer it and let it kind of simmer. And it really doesn't take a whole lot. My noodles are drying out. My mom used to cover them with like a white cheesecloth type of linen towel. And recipes I've been reading doesn't say anything about that. And I do know that you're supposed to pick them up every once in a while. You don't have to, but I think my mom did. And just picked them up as they were drying out. Or towards the end, you can flip them over, but you don't have to. Anyway, my mom used to cover them. And I think the reason she did it more than anything was because we would sneak up and we would grab a little piece like this, and then we would take off and then we would eat that. And note to myself, also when I do these, I need to put an apron on, but it's all gone. Anyway, my little tip right now. So here we go. I'll be back in a couple hours after I go shopping. Yay! One other thing I wanted to add also was I used ground turkey breast, but because I don't have a turkey. But this is an excellent recipe to use for your leftovers from Thanksgiving. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do it now. If you use the turkey breast, then the points will stay the same because turkey breast is 0. If you use any other, the dark meat or anything, then you'll have to adjust the points. I think it's like 1 more or whatever. I like turkey breast anyway. So just wanted to give you that little plug that this is really good to use for after Thanksgiving to use up some of your turkey. And I think the chunks of turkey will taste better than the ground turkey. At least I like it better. Okay? Okay, it's been a couple hours. Actually, it's been like 3. I got busy shopping and my Instant Pot just kept everything warm. So when I came home, My noodles are all dried out. You know, it says let dry for a couple hours, and these are some really big noodles. And so I transferred the soup from the Instant Pot over here to this so you could see it better. But actually, I could have cooked it in here on the saute, because the saute will, let's see if I'll fit that there. It gets really hot, but this gets hotter. So you want to make for sure your soup mixture that we just got through doing first, make sure that comes to a really good boil before we put the noodles in. Now I'm going to drop the noodles in, real easy. And I'm going to drop these in, and then I'm going to cook it for like approximately 10 minutes. I'll probably check it after about 8 minutes. And so I'm going to just leave them right here on this. It looks good already. Good thing I didn't thicken it anymore, because these noodles are taking up a lot of room. I put on here 6 servings, and so each serving is going to be 5-6 points. And I'm thinking, you know, a cup each. When I get done here, before I finish up, I will let you know for sure how many I'll measure. So when I put the recipe on, it'll be just right. And so it's coming together already. It needs to boil. I would suggest you check it every couple minutes and stir it to make for sure it's not sticking. And so now on with the next step. We're almost done. One more thing I wanted to add is don't put a lid on this while this is cooking, because it can make your noodles soggy or soft. You don't want to cover this. You want to keep it open. Okay, it's all finished up. And it made more than I thought, so I adjusted the recipe. This is not going to be 6 points per serving. It's going to be, actually it's 4 points per 1 cup. I'll put this all in the recipe, which will be on a little drop down, little arrow, and you'll go to it and you'll find the recipe. And so, but it's hearty. It's not really a soup. It's like a dinner. It's like a chicken noodle dinner, but it's a turkey noodle dinner. And so it's really thick. And so if you have 1 cup, it's going to be 4 points. And 1 cup, I already measured out, is 2 of these. So this is 4 points right here. I would suggest if you put it in a cup or either put it in a bowl. So 1, 2, that's 4. If you want to do another scoop, make it a little bigger. Make you a big bowl of hearty turkey noodle, more like a turkey noodle dinner. And so this would be 6, this would be 4. And I can't believe how low it is, and it tastes so good. Oh my gosh, it tastes so good. If you want, you can add a little bit of fat-free mozzarella cheese. This is my new find, and it's the Kraft one. You can have up to a quarter of a cup is 0 points. A quarter of a cup is 4 tablespoons. So if you want to put like a tablespoon mozzarella cheese on top of each one, if I can get it out here. There we go. Anyway, just add a little bit of extra flavor. It's 0 points. You can go up to a quarter of a cup if you want. And so it turned out really good. My husband's still out dirt bike riding, and so I'm going to have a little bit of this, and then I'll work on editing it later, and you'll see this. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. This is a really good recipe. Can't wait to try it with Thanksgiving leftovers. If you want it more like a soup, just add more water or more chicken broth to it, and it'll reduce the points too. But this is a very hearty dinner, actually. And so I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please share my channel with others. I just hope to be a blessing, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll be talking to you more before then, but here's what I made for dinner for now. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening, and here's to better health. Okay, I just wanted to tell you one other thing about these noodles. They are a little al dente, which is wonderful. That's the way you want them. I cooked it about 10 to 12 minutes, and this is some nice chunky noodles, just like my mama used to make. make, and they taste just like it. They're so good. I'm glad my sister Karen encouraged me, or said, I wonder if we could do that. And this is for you, Karen, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I can't wait to eat this, and I'm so glad I get to share this with you guys. I'm just so tired I didn't have a way of really ending this, but I just want to say, you know, of course, share my videos if you like them. And I do all of this because it helps me stay healthier. I hope it helps you stay healthier and stay at goal or below goal and enjoy every bite of it. And you have a wonderful and a very blessed day. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye-bye.